Hey friends, Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. If you have ever wanted a fragrance that is reminiscent of the smell of the Terminator beating up biker dudes in a bar while in the nude, good news.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Spicebomb Metallic Musk has been released by Viktor Rolf. And I figure that's gotta be what the name means, Metallic Musk. You know, the Terminator was made of metal. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there who is hyper into the Terminator lore who's like, actually, it's not metal, but just stick with me. Terminator made of metal, but he's also a buff dude, and he's, you know, beating people up, working up a sweat. The Musk, Metallic Musk, it all makes sense. Or, you know, that could be wrong. That might not be what they were after. So obviously, Metallic Musk is, as of now, the newest flanker in the Spicebomb line. I was gonna try to do this, and the question is this fragrance worth the hype? Is it worth checking out? You can pick it up right now for $108 for this size, 50 mil, or the 90 mil is going for $145. And that is from Makeup. It's a store. The name maybe could use a little work, but whatever. And I figure eventually it's going to pop up in stores in the US, right? Like, eventually, it has to show up at Macy's and Fragrance Net, Fragrance Buy, JOMASHOP, these shops, right? But so far, no. Eventually, though. Nice. So I will have this one linked in the description. Feel free to check it out down there. Let's go ahead and kick things off by taking a closer look at this presentation. Then we'll start talking about the good old Metallic Musk. So here we have the box. You have the name of the fragrance, name of the house size, and concentration on the front. Eau de Parfum 50 mils is the size of mine. You have the Viktor Rolf stamp up on top of the box. QR code on one side. You have your precautions and ingredients on the back of the box. And on the bottom, you will find your badge code. My badge code is 22Z31DJ. And here we have the bottle. Very reflective and very much a fingerprint magnet. Done up in your typical hand grenade stylings of the Spicebomb line with a sticker across the middle with the name of the fragrance and your concentration. Your badge code is on a sticker on the bottom of the bottle, and you have a little pull tab so you can pretend that you're about to throw a hand grenade in Battlefield 1 every time you spray this on. And let's go ahead and do a couple of those sprays. Here we go. It's a really nice atomizer. But there is one big negative that I have to point out here, and this has been an ongoing issue with a lot of Spicebomb releases. It leaks. Now, there have been multiple times actually with recent releases like Infrared, Eau de Parfum. I think I went through 3 bottles before I got one that hadn't leaked everywhere and completely destroyed itself in transit. I'm talking about the box comes and you look at it and you can tell it is a wreck. You open it up and the bottle has just leaked everywhere and like ripped paint off the bottle, the whole thing, just a complete mess. It essentially looked like Michael Myers got a hold of it, just really. And this one is also leaky, just not as bad, so I'll just live with it. Essentially, every time you spray this thing, it starts to leak around the collar right here, and it's really noticeable. So it's something that Viktor Rolf has had issues with. It is something they obviously have not fixed. So that sucks. But enough of that. Let's go ahead, let's talk about the fragrance. How does this one smell? Well, as soon as you spray Spicebomb Metallic Musk on, one thing is gonna pop into your mind. Yeah, that's a Spicebomb. No, that's hard-hitting information right here. Wait a second, you mean to tell me that the new Spicebomb smells like Spicebomb? Holy. But yes, it is immediately apparent that this is the Spicebomb DNA being reinterpreted for better or worse. It is a more refined, more polished iteration, a fresher iteration, but still an iteration. That's the word of the day. The opening is really vibrant. It smells great. Fresh, clean bergamot and elemi combine in there to grab your attention right away. And it has this nice multifaceted, spicy, fresh, very slightly fruity opening. It's far less brash, it's less bracing in the opening compared to the original Spicebomb. That one much more aggressive, much more heavy-handed with the spices. The spices in this one, in Metallic Musk, much more reined in, but still there. It also has like a light, clean, powdery kind of vibe to it, like a light powdery sweetness. This aldehydic pop in the opening is noticeable as well. And it's a very modern use of aldehydes. You know, it doesn't have anything that's off-putting. It doesn't have anything that's too sharp. Instead, it has this almost like electric pop when you first spray it on, this little electric lift to it before those more powdery nuances start to come on as it dries down. The opening hyper wearable, very pleasant, and a nice, sophisticated, fresh, modern take on what the original Spicebomb was. Now, as I said earlier, unfortunately, right this second as I'm shooting this video, it's not available at discounters or retailers in the US, but it should be as time goes on. So if you're watching this in the future, you're probably in luck. Probably. I don't know how far in the future you are. You let me know. But regardless of when you watch this, I do have something good for you, these codes. I have a multitude of different discount codes that you can use to save yourself money across a bunch of different websites. So if you shop at any of these stores, use those codes to save yourself some money. Do be aware though, the JOMASHOP codes only work within the JOMASHOP app, and some of the best discounters are here with different codes like Gift Express, the Perfume Box, Fragflex, and others. Now, as the fragrance dries down and settles into the mid, most of those spices start to step away a little bit. They're still there, they're just not as prominent. It's a really smooth fragrance from the opening into the mid. You have a nice little touch of lavender that starts to peek through. It kind of floats there, almost delicately in the background. It's there, but it's not in your face, and it helps maintain some of that freshness as it dries down. There's a persistent, almost vanilla-like kind of sweetness as well that comes out more as it dries down, but it's absolutely not any kind of like, you know, gourmand type of vanilla. It's more like this floating vanilla musk that's in there. Which brings me to the name, Metallic Musk. Gotta say, I was not a big fan of the flanker name when it was first announced. And that's mainly because I feel like with some particular notes, when people hear the name and it's something musk, something lavender, something whatever, a lot of people kind of tune out. At least that's been my experience in the past. And I wasn't really hype about Metallic Musk because I think for a lot of people, when you hear musk, it just kind of fades into the background. It's like, oh, okay, white noise, right? But the name actually works decently well. That being said, the metallic in Metallic Musk is not necessarily a metallic smell in the fragrance. At least not to me, and I'll explain. To me, the metallic in Metallic Musk is more a concept. So like when you smell this scent, and also I guess, you know, the look of the bottle helps get this across as well, but when you smell the scent, it's almost silver smelling, right? Or gray smelling, and that may not make sense, but like when you smell an aquatic fragrance, you might say, oh, it smells blue, right? Or you smell a fragrance that has verbena in it, or neroli, or something like that, you might say, oh, well, that one smells a little bit green. It's that sort of thing. So when you smell this, it's not metallic in the sense that it's really sharp or that it comes across overly mineral. So it kind of comes across that way. It's not metallic in the sense of when you smell it, it's not overly filled with minerality. It's not something that smells overly sharp. It's not something that smells like you would think, oh, that's metal.
Death metal or doom metal.
No, that's a different kind of metal. All right, everybody, welcome to the stage, Meshuggah playing Bleed. I'm just playing. I think if that song kicked in right now, I'm pretty sure that this would just be like, ha, no monetization for you. Oh, Meshuggah, don't steal my monetization. Love you guys. But yeah, it comes across smelling gray. It comes across smelling silver, very, very fresh, but at the same time, it does have that sort of like color that hits your brain if you think about it a certain kind of way. Yeah, that doesn't make sense, but to me it does. Kind of. Now I'm starting to talk myself out of it. No. So yeah, as it settles in, nice, smooth, sweet, still fresh. You get like some faint cinnamon in there, like a little warm cinnamon that kind of lingers and puffs its way through the scent. And that's going to tie it in more with the original Spicebomb. Once again, that cinnamon kind of taking over for the pepper as it dries. To me, the quality here, very nice. The blend, extremely well done. Nothing sticks out, nothing smells unbalanced. And it maintains that identity that it sets up in the opening through the mid. Essentially a fresher, cleaner, classier, more modern take on the original Spicebomb. Of course, into the dry down, it's going to soften up a bit, which it does. It doesn't project as much once it does hit that dry down, and it stays fairly consistent from mid into the dry down. You pick up a little bit of leather that comes through, almost like a suede leather is how it hits my nose. And that suede leather sits beautifully underneath a nice soft musk, again, bit sweet from the mid that carries over into the dry down. And you still get little hints of that shallow, at this point, sweet, soft spiciness that carries over from the mid into the dry down as well. And just overall, the scent from the opening into the mid into the dry down, very, very easy to wear, extremely appealing. Like, as I've been wearing this over the past week, everybody that I've had check this out, you know, getting their opinion. What do you think about this? It's a new fragrance, blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. Everybody has had great things to say about it. It's just one of those ones that, probably owing to the original DNA, you know, being really well established, the type of fragrance that people enjoy a lot, being a riff on that essentially, it goes a long way to having people come around to it. You know, it's not something that's like out of left field where they're like, oh, this is kind of weird, but I think I like it, but I'm not sure. It's not like that. You know, it's the type of scent that right away they smell it and it's like, oh, yeah, it smells great, because it does have, you know, that commonality with some other big fragrances that have come out in the past, just tweaked, done a different way, a different approach, and an approach that I think more people actually gravitate towards. Again, the original Spicebomb, it's a great fragrance. It's been around, people love it. It's inspired a lot of other things out there, but for some people, it can be a little bit much. This one, way easier to wear out and about. You don't really have to think about it, you know, just grab, spray, go, essentially. And in terms of seasonality, I would say you can wear it pretty much any time. I will say it's probably best suited for spring and fall, you know, kind of that like middling season, you know, the temperature not too hot, not too cold. That's probably when it's technically best suited for, but I will say you can wear it during winter and during summer, and it would be a really good change of pace fragrance for either of those seasons. Because it's not your typical freshie. You know, this is not an aquatic fragrance. This is not something that's like a gym scent, you know, it's not a shower gel kind of scent. And it's not your typical winter fragrance because it's not overly ambery, you know, really warm, sweet, dense, how a lot of those fragrances are. And it doesn't lean into that like caramel, chestnut, toffee, you know, really rich vanilla scent profile either. So it's gonna give you a different change of pace during winter and during summer than your typical stuff that you would think of as being fragrances for those seasons. But it can work during either one pretty easily. Now, longevity-wise, it's actually really good. It lasts a long time off my skin, but the projection, more moderate. And that was kind of an issue with Spicebomb Dark Leather, but to be fair, as far as the type of fragrance, Dark Leather is the type that should have been stronger, right? It should have projected more, should have lasted longer, but it does smell really pleasant. It's just subtle and way more subtle than a lot of people would have appreciated. This one gets a little bit more of a pass because as soon as you spray it on, you can tell what it is, right? It's trying to be that smoother, a little bit more upmarket type of Spicebomb, a fresher Spicebomb without going like full on Eau Fraiche style. So with the projection on this one being a little more moderate, you know, not really impressive, it gets a little more of a pass than Dark Leather. That's all I'm saying. But do be aware of that. Off my skin, it's not hyper strong as far as projection goes. It's okay, it gets the job done, but it's not a monster. So Metallic Musk, is it worth checking out? Well, if you're a fan of the Spicebomb line, I think absolutely. Because it is doing something different than all the other Spicebomb fragrances that you can actively find today. It's not quite as much of a freshie as Spicebomb Fresh was, Eau Fraiche, depending on where you look. But you can't even find that one anymore, really, unless you're trying to buy from somebody who has a bottle from the past. You know, it's discontinued. So when you compare it to, you know, the infrareds, to the night visions, to extreme, to Dark Leather, this one is doing its own thing, but it's keeping its roots firmly planted in the Spicebomb pot. It's refined, it's modernized, it's fresh, it's easy to wear, people love it. The only real drawbacks here, projection, not great. The bottle, a little bit leaky. That's an issue Viktor and Rolf really needs to figure out because it is so freaking annoying every time you buy a Spicebomb, wondering if it's gonna come in leaking all over the place. Like, come on guys. I really do wonder how many bottles legitimately they have to have like returned because of that issue. It's gotta be a ton. Like, I can't be the most unlucky man on earth. Other people have to be dealing with this. So the performance, the bottle, and then the last thing, it did take me a few wears to come around on. So if you go into a store or something when it finally pops up in stores and you spray this one on and you think to yourself, you know, it's like Spicebomb, but mellower and it's whatever. Do try to give it a couple more wears because I gotta say the first few times I wore it, not a huge fan, and then came around to it as time went on. And now actually I really, really like it. Ultra, ultra, ultra pleasant. So there we go, metallic musk from Viktor and Rolf. If you smell this one, let me know what you think about it. Again, linked in the description below if you want to check it out. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, take care of yourself. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.